Hey folks, it's Saturday morning. Welcome to it. We're going to do some more Spelljammer combat and exploration artwork. Give me a moment here to check my signal. I'm going to go through my intro, and then we'll get to work here for 100 plus minutes. So let's see here if I'm coming through okay. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Sounds like I'm coming through okay. Excellent. Let's do this and save, and then let's do this. I'm going to go through my intro spiel. So if you've heard it before and you're here in the future after we finish streaming, hi future, welcome to the mix. If you've heard it before, you can skip past it. That's cool. Otherwise, for those that haven't been here before, or for those of you that are just now tuning in, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing game supplements. I illustrate them. I publish them online. I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition supplements for the past 5 years. There are a slew of links in the description down below that you can click through to see different things that I've created before. If you're an artist or you're here for the artwork, in the previews that are in all the books that I have, if you click into them, there's if you go to each individual book, there'll be a book cover on the product description page. And so if you're on a desktop or a tablet, you'll see a full preview link underneath the book cover. But if you're on like a mobile device, then you're going to see an eye icon on the right-hand side of the screen. So if you press the eye icon or the full preview, it'll throw open a PDF. You'll be able to read through the documents cover to cover. For the artist types that like artwork and are here to check out the art that we're doing, there's probably about 150 different illustrations in just the books that I have linked down below. There's about 100 different books on the DMsGuild that are currently using my stock art, so if you wanted to check that stuff out, you would certainly be welcome to do so. Almost done here with going through on my clickety-clacks to get things updated here, streaming, here. Cool. Okay, great. And so let's see. Let's get this out of the way. I just posted I'm live on Twitter, so if you want to get notifications when I'm live in the future, you can follow me on Twitter X if you're still on the platform, at Phil Kearney, where I post illustrations, sketches of work in progress, article content, and early look-sees of different things that I'm building, so be welcome to check me out there. Best way to support the growth of the channel is like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications in the future. We're continuing to grow. Thanks a lot to everyone that's jumped on board this week. Hornetico, it's good to see you, my guy. So I talk about creating role-playing games and then illustrating them and publishing them online. So in this case, we're looking at Spelljammer Combat and Exploration. Wizards of the Coast released Spelljammer's Adventures in Space in August last year, like September, October, November, December. That was 16 months ago they released that. So we were already working on vehicle mechanics for D&D, coincidentally enough. So when this thing came out, I was like, oh yeah, it's game on. So we began working on playtesting, came up with some cool ideas. We playtested it. It all worked well. We then went about creating the actual letter, the words for the new mechanics and the variant rules that we came up with. Once all the initial text was done, we sent it off to an editor. The editor wordsmiths it, comes back, gives us a format we can follow. We then drop all the content into, I use MS Word for organizing, doing page layouts. So once all the information is organized onto each page, you can see that there's multiple gaps throughout the document. That's where we put diagrams and charts, maps, and illustrations. So we take each page, we extract them. In this instance, we take this page about maintaining crews and ships. We then begin illustrating the document. When the illustration is done, we'll then extract all of the illustrations, bring them back into the Word document, add them in as illustrations in the pieces. We'll then seal it into a PDF. We'll publish it on DMsGuild, and there'll be a link for you to check out the preview for it. If you think it's cool, there's about 80 tokens that we include with it. All the ship tokens from Spelljammer's Adventures in Space, plus all the fighter craft that we developed. All the creatures that have unusual natures that can exist naturally or unnaturally in wild space, the astral sea, as well as all the kaiju style creatures that are 50 feet or larger in size. We have details for them as well. We also have a 20-page conversion guide for the Light of Xerax's adventure that publishes Spelljammer's Adventures in Space. This is a 106-page document, and the last 25 pages of it currently, it's still under formatting, but currently it's about 25 pages, and it's a conversion guide using the front end of this document, the 80 pages of mechanics, combat, exploration, ideas about ships and how space works, and all the blah-de-blah that we go over. All the mechanics of how this stuff is used, we then put into a conversion guide for Light of Xeraxis. So if you want to see these mechanics at work, you can use them as if you want to run Light of Xeraxis and have it flavored differently. So that's what the document is. We have all the tokens for all the creatures and NPCs that are in Light of Xeraxis as well. And we have all the maps that you need to run Light of Xeraxis as an adventure. So everything, we have a toolkit in here that's just included with the mechanics as a proof of concept and added value to the community, that if you want to put your faith in my mechanics and give them a try, if you were unsatisfied with the Spelljammer mechanics that were presented to you and just kind of gave it a pass, why don't you try implementing these rules and then play Light of Xeraxis with the changes that we're suggesting in the second appendix of this book. So that's my spiel. That's what we're doing. We're currently working on this Goblin Commander. We're talking about, this is a section about gaining crew rank. A crew, of course, the higher rank your crew is, the more damage they can deal with their weapons, and the faster they can fire siege weapons. Higher ranks means faster reload speeds, means more damage. They're also a lot more expensive to maintain. You can take a creature, its base CR is going to determine its initial rank, but you can also gain ranks as a static, like a goblin's like a 1/4 CR creature. But if it survives 55 battles, it'll gain 10 renown. Renown is the system from the Dungeon Masters Guild to be able to, it's like an abstract means of gamifying devotion to a system, and in this case we're using that devotion to the craft of becoming a better siege weapon operator, or becoming a better siege crew under your command. So you can gain a rank or you can gain renown. It's equal to the amount of renown you currently have, plus 1 is the number of battles that you have to experience. You can gain renown once per day despite the number of battles that you endure. Obviously, getting up to 5th rank through battles themselves is ridiculous. That's a lot of freaking battles. But if you're at war for a 4-year stretch, you're in a 4-year tour of duty, and you're in an active war zone, you could very well experience a battle every day of your life. And if you are able to survive the experience, you're going to come out a very, very powerful ally for the characters in the campaign. So the team can pay for them, or if you have enough time in game, you could even have like training as downtime. You can train your crew up if you want to have your campaign extend out that long. You could have fighter ships and a companion ship that you could run skirmishes while you're flying from one location to another. If it's going to take 30 days for you to get to a location, that's the opportunity for you to potentially have 30 skirmishes that would give your team combat experience that you could then take peasants. And if you're on your way to Xeraxis to wage war and you have a 35-day journey, they won't make it. They'll need more time than that. So you could potentially train them for a week or two at Rock of Brawl before taking off, and then by the time you get to Xeraxis, they should be a 2nd ranked crew member and be ready to take on the Elven Armada. So, and of course we have ship, squadron, and fleet mechanics in this book that we'll be looking at later on as we get further into the combat chapter of illustrations. But for now, we're going to continue working on our Goblin crew member. I want to do a tear out, like a 5-10 minute separate piece that I publish here on YouTube, talking about ship lifestyles, but I want to finish this illustration since it's on the page. I want to have the illustration ready to go when I actually talk about it. So I have no idea if I'm going to finish this thing today or not. I've got a timer going, and I've got at this point about 100 minutes for me to kick through. So we're just going to get back into the grind of it. So let's see. These are teeth and eyes. Let's just play with those for a minute. Our reference is the Goblin out of the Monster Manual. So we're just using that as our base reference. Let's grab that eye color. Hornetico, man, what you got going on today? He's pointing at a comfortable lifestyle or a wealthy lifestyle. This is where he wants to be as a well-trained goblin. He wants to ascend ranks and have the level of comforts that his brood would never have imagined. This is by far a very superior goblin. Good job, Gabo. Good job, little man. I'm going to carve out some teeth for this guy here real quick. I'm just about ready just to merge this all down and just start punching through it. So I think that's what we're going to do. So let's just be bold, like an American. Boop, boo, ba, doo, boo, doo, boo, boo, doo. Like an American. I like Lana Del Rey. She does good music, man. She makes me feel like the 50s. I think I'm going to use my chisel or my guitar pick. Hold on. What do I want to call that? My smudge pick? That sounds right. It's shaped like a pick. Hold on. Let's find it real quick. There we go. Wedge smudge pick. I should change it. Here's how this thing looks. Right? It's the shape of a guitar pick. The front edge of it is sharp. So when I use it to smudge, it pulls all the pixels with a lot of strength, so I get a strong line out of it. The back end is curved, and you can see it's feathered, so it has increasing transparency the closer we get to the edge of the back tip, the back curve. And so when I use this side of the pick to smudge, it drags the pixels slower, so it creates more of a smudging effect, like running water. This is hard edge. It pulls the pixels with it, keeps the signal strong. This dilutes the signal and fuzzes it out so that it becomes more what's the word I'm looking for? Like more airbrushy, you know, like it's faded. It fades it in. So we'll use this pick to sculpt and push the line and color around. Oops. Let's do it like this, just to give you an example. I'm using a 70% strength right now with the front end of the pick. That means I can push these pixels very strong and create flat spaces or to round out spaces. If I use the back end of the pick, I can pull the pixels into the space and smudge it for a gradient. That was the word I was looking for. It creates smudged gradients. This allows me to do like a soft diffusion shadow or highlight, so I can swap between the two depending on which edge of the tool I use, and primarily like whichever direction I pull it in. So I can, as I use the tool, I can the way that Wacom and a lot of tablets work is that it has a pin that, depending on which way I turn the brush, when I rotate it, it's going to cause the brush tip to rotate with it. So as I use the brush, I can spin and tilt the brush around to get the kind of to get the action that I need out of it, if that makes sense. So smudge here, and I can even use like the side edge of it to be able to oscillate between those two effects depending on what I'm doing. And this is a new tool that I developed about 3 months ago during the live stream, the Saturday morning commission stream I was doing for Joseph Vargas Ukulele Bard's new role-playing game Reclamant. He commissioned me to do the book cover for that. And during that process, I felt I needed to have a more precise edge tool than the cloud brush that I normally use for smudging to be able to pull off new results. And so we developed this guitar pick, and I'm still learning how to best use it. But I'm becoming more and more optimal with its use, and it's becoming a lot more intuitive for me to use it the more time I spend with it. And once that's why I talk about this a lot with custom brushes. A lot of young artists or you know, fledgling artists will attempt to expedite their production speed by acquiring brushes, custom brushes that have different effects or different looks to them, to be able to like cheat in textures and stuff. And I've been building custom brushes for many years, and my advice remains consistent that you really need to understand your own style just using a round, just using a straight, just a flat round brush. You should be able to accomplish the effects that you want with just a round brush without any fancy tools. If you can figure out how to develop and illustrate the things that you want with the most basic tools, you'll then be in a position to actually understand how custom brushes can actually help improve the look and time it takes to produce the things that you want, because you'll understand what it is that you're exactly trying to do, and you'll actually have an objective in mind when you're creating the brushes. What is this brush going to help me achieve? So that's when you're experimenting with brushes, you're trying to find out, what is this brush going to help me, like what is it going to help me produce? What am I going to be able to accomplish with this brush? And if you have a specific objective in mind, I need a brush that's going to allow me to smudge in a straight hard edge more efficiently, but also help speed up the diffused gradient look that I often need in my shadows. So I had already developed the cloud tool, which was a stack, which is a tool that's designed to diffuse pixels so that it can fluff into a little cotton ball type texture like Bob Ross does for his clouds. I need a brush that'll help do that for me without creating lag on my computer, so that I can process it quickly with a lot of quick brush strokes that won't cause a RAM pipeline bottleneck and cause my computer to skip, so I won't see what I'm actually drawing in real time. So I have very specific objectives for the brushes that I build to achieve the things that I want. And if you allow yourself to become skilled enough in your craft with the most basic tools, you'll then have a much stronger understanding. Again, just kind of reiterating myself here at this point, that will give you the strength to understand what this brush is going to do to actually make you stronger. So there you go. That's why I developed the pick in the first place, and I am still, again, I've been using Photoshop for 20 plus years in one version or another, and I'm still learning all its little tricks and abilities. But on top of that, it's whenever I build a new brush, I have to spend time training with it, so that I can become truly proficient in its use and find out how I can use it to trick in new effects, new texture, or to expedite and create new brush techniques to expedite the production of whatever piece I'm working on, if that makes sense. So, but despite that, when I get to 500 subscribers, I will offer my ASB toolkit. It'll be an Excel brush file that I think works on, not Excel, it's an Adobe brush file. I think it works with Photoshop, and I think they also work with Corel and Clipart Studio. I'm not 100%, but I think the ASB file is a universal brush format that can work across multiple platforms. If I'm wrong, sorry. I only use Photoshop because it has the best color tools, and since I don't see any color, I need good color tools that I can rely on. And Photoshop has stood out as the premier color manipulation software program in the professional industry for the past 30 years. So it was the one I went to. The tools that are in here, when I understand what they do, feel very intuitive to me. So once I kind of locked onto it, I don't want to let it go, because I will always be reliant on the technology for me to be able to actually to properly paint in color, and I don't really want to mess with that. So they've got a lifelong client with me. They're welcome to sponsor me if you guys are listening. I doubt you are. Sponsored by a Council of the Blind. Right now, I'm really just kind of trying to get the roughness out of the, integrate the line art into the color that we underlaid, so that it feels whole. So as a composition, it all works together. I'm also poking at texture right now. Like I have all this line work, and this line work does a lot of lifting for me when it comes to texturing. If I can preserve the line, like on this guy's face, this much jiggity jaggedy random line scratch isn't as appropriate as it is, say, down in the pants here, where I can pull where I can pull creases and crinkles and stains and tears. All that additional line language benefits me at different pieces, at different points of the piece, depending on what the composition is. Yeah, so I finished the commission for the book cover that I had been working on Saturdays for the past month or so. I've shown it off a little bit, but I'll show it off one more time here for folks to take a look. Let's see. Here is the finished cover for the Gun of Innoraven, the third tier Dungeons and Dragons adventure that was created by Andy Headley and Brian Holmes as an editor. We had been commissioned to create this book cover, so we spent maybe like 40 hours on it. This will be I'll do a little tear out, and we'll drop this in as a conclusion to that 13 episode stream that we had placed on Saturdays for the past couple months. But this is the end result that we have. So all the terrain still pokes through. You can still see the landscape that we painted behind the event. The lightning effect, I think, turned out really well. I like the chasming effect of the black hole that this creature is rising out of. It creates if you're in the cockpit of the machine and you're at the helm, if you can imagine a location, if you know a location, you can target it with this weapon. And it will then create a black hole at location and destroy it with radiant and necrotic damage. And it creates a wormhole from where this construct is at. The gun, they call it Gun of Innoraven. Here, it's on its back. Wherever this machine is at, and wherever the pilot imagines, it creates a destruction tube to that location in a different reality. It can be any reality you can imagine. This machine was built. I think the story is that it was initially being created in the Abyss. They then moved the project to the Underdark. You find it as a side quest out of the Abyss, and I guess Innoraven is the demon artificer that is building this machine as a doomsday weapon for the Blood War. You could literally imagine a location in in Celestia or in Asgard. And you imagine that location, then boom, it gets destroyed, and a dimensional portal opens up, and for however long the pilot can maintain concentration, it leaves the tunnel open so troops can march through it, and then the machine itself can march through and then close the portal behind it, or it can remain in position and just close the portal where it's at. But so you can move yourself through it, or you can just use it as an extra dimensional weapon. Huge threat, very appropriate for 13th plus level characters. It was a thrill to build this thing, and yeah. So all the lightning effects and the chasming. This is the chasming effect of it rising through its own portal that it created, and here's the radiant and necrotic damage that it dealt in the process of bursting to this location. So I think I pulled off the spherical effect pretty well with the ring, the black holing, and then the faded lightning that kind of cascades into a globe behind it. So I think that turned out really well, and I had a lot of fun texturing the tarmac or the grass and scrubbery that's down here on the surface, and of course that gets scrapped out as the explosion comes through and it knocks all these trees over. This house is getting smacked. So this is a fun piece to build, but it's done now. And so once they finish the adventure and they publish it, I think they're going to publish it on DMsGuild because it's an expansion of Out of the Abyss. So once that thing hits the shelves, I'll give you guys a shout, let you know, and you can keep an eye out for it. But thanks to Andy and Brian for approaching me with this opportunity. It was a lot of fun to create it, and I like to pick up the occasional commission to help keep me from burning out on my larger projects, and of course, to put some coin in my pocket. So this will fuel many nice dinners with my gal. So thank you for the support and the opportunity to create such a fun piece. So anyway, so there's that. Let's get back to work. For those that were wondering, this book cover we created around episode 15 of our stream. We're currently at episode 273. We've literally been banging away at this for 16 months now. We've got a decent shot of being done in January. Like a really good shot of being done mid-January, maybe even late. So that's why, even though I'm done with my commissions now on Saturday, I was really geeking out over. I've decided to not take any more commissions probably until March. And so that's going to leave my Saturdays completely open for me to build and design whatever I want. And it really just kind of clicked in my head this morning when I woke up. It's like, you know what? You just simplified your work plate. Why don't you lean into that simplicity and just try to knock out some more Spelljammer art ASAP? Because there's only after this, there's only 8 more illustrations, and 5 of them are landscapes. And if you've been watching my stream for a while, you know that I can punch out a landscape pretty fucking fast. So I'm happy that I've got so many landscapes lined up. But I also have a number of diagrams, charts, that I still have to design, as well as I still do finish the layouts and construction of the Light of Zaraxis section, Appendix 2. And I'm really hoping that I'm going to... So while I'm here on stream with you guys, I'm also building out diagrams and charts and stuff on the for the pages that need visual, just need visual tools to help explain like movements and positioning and reach and all that stuff that you deal with when you have ships and giant creatures interacting at larger scales. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. So I'm trying to pack in as much visual examples that you would actually see on a live game map, like with tokens and stuff like that. All the tokens that are included with this project in the PDF. It'll be a zip file when you buy it. All those, I'm using all of those tokens as example pieces inside of these combat maps. So when you start running Light of Zaraxis as a sample game, or just start running with it because you get it and you just want to run a game, then you'll be literally seeing the tokens that we provided for the ships that you would use on maps that you would use. So you'll be literally building like Legos. Legos gives you instructions and it provides you with images of what the Lego set looks like as you build it. That's kind of the same thing that we're trying to achieve here, is give you good functioning mechanical diagrams and map examples of how mechanics work, so that when you have the ships on the map yourself and you're wondering how does surging work again, how do we charge, you'll have an example in the book of how those mechanics actually work. That it's like, okay, so I have my thing here and the thing is here, this is how the thing happens, and you'll have a literal example to use. So 3rd edition D&D was really good about that, because they were introducing things like opportunity attacks and 5-foot steps and disengage and attack, move, attack versus attack, move, and then your round is done. So they had a bunch of visual examples in the old players' handbooks about how that stuff works, and it felt like a really good idea, since I'm introducing a different way of looking at combat, like literally a different scale of combat, using the same rules that you're already familiar with 5th edition. It just made sense that I would include a lot of diagrams and images of combat examples that would help you wrap your brain around the ideas that we're playing with in here, so it becomes because once you get it, it's incredibly intuitive. It just fades into the background. It's just it's just 5e combat. It's just, you're just operating at different scales. It's all literal. It's just using all the mechanics in the player's handbook, as well as some of the optional rules or variant rules that are in the Dungeon Master's Guide. So virtually everything that's in this book is somehow or another already expressed in the books that Wizards of the Coast published. We're just taking those rules and using our imagination as overactive DMs to say, how can we use these mechanics to accomplish the effects that we want in our campaign? Since that's what Wizards of the Coast offers us to do, figure it out yourself. The entire third-party industry of 5e content is basically themed around, okay, well, if we have to figure it out ourselves, here's an idea. If you think it's good enough, buy it. So that's what we do on the DMsGuild. That's what everyone does on the DMsGuild. We're running the play that Wizards gave us of, you got to figure it out yourself. It's like, okay, great. We'll put in the time and the effort of figuring it out for you if you want to throw us some coin if it's a good idea. So far, it's like the color mana system's been really successful. That's about to go gold. I've got like 480 copies of that sold now. So if it doesn't hit gold before the 2024 new books come out, once I translate all those books, that'll give it a path to platinum. So I'm really looking forward to that. Very proud, very, very proud of how well received those books have been over the past few years. So once I get all these diagrams done, I'm wondering if there is a mild possibility that I'll actually finish all the illustrations before the Light as Araxis conversion is laid out and all of the charts and diagrams are finished. So if that's the case, if we actually finish all the artwork, then I'll be able to bounce between touch-up art or like improvements and actually illustrating or building those charts and diagrams and stuff here online. Generally, that's less exciting because it's a methodical method. Most of the artwork that I produce on here is intuitive. It's all inspiration driven, and the less I have to think, the more fun the art becomes, the more happy I am with the results. But these diagrams and charts, they're attempting to express very specific ideas. They have very precise positioning that they need to concisely express the idea. Like, there's a big difference between writing something down and just being able to free float conversation until I say it enough different ways that you get it. There's like with the text, you have basically one shot to get it right. While here on stream, I can talk over and over and over again about how different mechanics in the book work, and I'll eventually say it a way that connects with your brain. But if I can find that way first and then drop it into text, that's a really good rule supplement or a rule set that will be valuable because it is concisely expressing complex ideas. And if those ideas open up new avenues for you to narrate, express, or enjoy adventuring in Dungeons and Dragons, especially in Spelljammer, then that is a very worthy endeavor. So I need to make sure that the printed expression of these ideas are going to be strong enough to stand on their own with simplicity, clarity, and intent, which is the opposite of intuitive inspiration. Inspiration will give you the idea, and then sweat equity that builds it out into something that can be processed and grokked by anybody that looks at it. And so that process of creating the diagrams, the charts, the maps, and the samples isn't. I actually have to, I'm actually thinking about the words that are being on the page. Do I need to rearrange them? Do I need to alter them? Do I need to shift where they're at on the page to accommodate the space needed to express this visual thing? So there's much less intuitive. I don't get to turn off my brain while I do them, so it hurts a lot for me to do them. Thinking hurts. But all these charts and graphs and stuff require me to think. So it ends up me being it's not nearly as entertaining as listening to me rant about something while I just mindlessly push pixels around a page like I am right now. So it's a different workflow, and I've attempted a little bit of it. I think back around episode 180 maybe. It could have just been where my time was at and the stream and where audience retention was at the moment, but it didn't do well. So that kind of turned me away from, well, I should just basically focus on doing artwork and the fun stuff of ranting about things and being more entertaining, because it is more entertaining than watching me stare at a wall of text for a few minutes, push a letter or two, a pixel or two, and then stare for another few minutes at the text as I'm running through scenarios in my head and looking for the caveats and the like the logic holes, and where can I find the loopholes that will be abused by players. Like, I just have to stare at the text and use different voices in my mind to run through it until I can say, oh, wait a second, this brat voice just pointed out that there is actually no end. Like, there's no end mechanic. Like, there's no death. Like, this book doesn't describe how your character dies. Obviously, I need to keep cooking. So, like, you know, that's you got to look at the thing long enough, and when you have a good editing team, they'll push back on you about, hey, you know, what is this, and why are you doing that, and what's the logic here, and this doesn't seem to feel right. And so that when I recruited Ukulele Bard to help me with the project, he was excellent at pushing at loopholes and logic errors, and like, this is going to require too much action economy out of the player at the table to make it fun, or you know, like this is going to break the action loop, or whatever it is, whatever the observations are. You can only get through playtesting and running scenarios and being critical of how the system is going to be used. So luckily we had some really fun playtesting involved with this, and then a lot of reiteration and reformatting, and it turned out pretty damn good. I don't know what it is that we got going on in here, but it's a thing. Filigree is fun because it's basically just like little illustrations that you're creating inside of an item. Hey, Chronic, how you doing, my guy? So I don't stream on Sundays, but I'm finding if I build something offline separate from just like a stream download or whatever, if I have an intentional, again, we're talking about intent and effort and how much it hurts my brain. But I'm finding that if I build a 10-15 minute little conversation and then publish it on Sunday, that gives me that 7 days a week presence, and it's been doing a lot for building my since I started doing that, releasing a small little piece on Sunday. It's been, I think, 3 weeks now that I've been doing that. My channel's grown 20%, so that was definitely a worthwhile endeavor, and it's also training me to have more organized thoughts, and to be able to you know, build little ideas as separate components like you usually see with YouTubers. And it's fun to be able to like create little micro conversations about the different mechanics and stuff that are inside of this game. So I think what's going to happen, I think what I'm going to do is I think I will make a recording about gravity planes versus planetary spherical gravity, because there's some very simple absolute rules that we implement about those that makes it easy for DMs to design wild space systems around. Like, having very simple rules that can be easily manipulated gives DMs the power, or empowers them to feel that they can then make their own rulings. Kind of the mantra that we have running around in here is that you want to have enough rules that a DM can make their own rulings by having some sort of a structure to either lean into or break intentionally, instead of just accidentally trying to figure something out that works. Like, people that build these third-party supplements, they are burning the time and the resources to come up with consistent rules that we can then extract and make rulings from for ourselves in our own campaigns. That is the value that the third-party market brings to the community for those that are really interested but not yet confident in breaking out of what information is provided for you to use by Wizards of the Coast in the books that they publish. So getting comfortable with improvising and riffing and creating your own systems, you can get to that point by studying what other people do, which is how I got into design work, by being very diligent and exploring the different aspects of first edition, second edition, third edition as I grew up playing those systems to understand them. And then once I got into 5e and started getting serious about design, then I had the opportunity to start really making use of that system mastery that I have to see how older systems can be used to make new ideas inside the current system, and like what doesn't work, or like this feels like a weapon speed initiative mechanic. I know for a fact that that's clunky as fuck, and you have to have a very specific table that really loves that minutia to make it work. Because I've done a lot of different weapon system stuff during second edition when I played Dark Sun a lot. We played with weapon speeds all the time, and it ground the game down to a fucking crawl. But it was very precise. That precision has a cost, and the cost is processing speed. What's up? Procrastinating, listening to music. I mean, what are you procrastinating on a Saturday, my man? No, it's none of my business. You don't have to answer that, but I'm just merely saying that it's the weekend, baby. If there's ever a time that you're allowed to procrastinate, it's on the weekend. That is what the weekend is for. And if you want me to be snarky about that statement, rich people have money working for them 24 hours a day, but poor people don't have any resources other than themselves. So they need to take a break because they're breaking themselves. But the act of taking a break cuts off your ability to create money for yourself because you're not working. Because you don't have anything working for you if you're taking a break. So the weekend is not only a required emotional, it's an emotional necessity for a working person, but it also forces them to stay working in the long term further because they have that 2 out of 7 day downtime where they're not working. That's why the side hustle, like why really driven people often have a side hustle, because they know that the work that they're doing on the 5 days a week isn't going to get them someplace. They want to use the 2 days that they aren't working for their boss, for somebody else's wealth. That the weekend is an opportunity, if they're willing to endure the suffering, to have a crack at trying something that might help them build their own wealth, so that instead of working for themselves 2 days a week and somebody else 5 days a week, they could instead switch gears so that they are working for themselves 5 days a week and then enjoying life with their friends and family the other 2 days. Whether or not those friends and family themselves are attempting to achieve anything or to lift their game up or not, if they want time with you, by creating something that you control yourself 5 days a week, it gives you the flexibility and freedom to potentially say, yeah, I'm going to take that time for myself because I've literally earned it for myself and my family. That's honestly that's one of the philosophies that really drives me to keep working. And I used to hustle 7 days a week, but I have conceded to having my Sundays off. So I can't stream on Sundays. For the health of the family and friends. It's I have Saturdays to be productive for my own world. I have all the hours in the morning and evenings and afternoons that I stream already. Those are like my weekend time. I've carved out a good 30 hours a week that I'm capable of doing things to try to build my own art studio, design studio idea. But it does require it's diligence. It requires diligence, focus, and patience, and allowing you just to grind long enough to finally make it work. And procrastination is not the enemy of productivity. Procrastination is the feeling that you know you need to be doing something, but you haven't figured out exactly what it is that you're going to be able to do with the amount of energy that you have at the moment. So you're shifting your brain away from the thing that you have to do because you aren't capable of doing it yet. There's often a lot of guilt attached to procrastination because people feel like they're supposed to be more productive than they are. But procrastination is just simply a way of saying you're still recharging your battery. Please wait. So when you feel that wave of procrastination, that's actually your brain saying you aren't playing enough. You aren't allowing your inner child to get the air that it needs to go out and on recess. So allow that procrastination. Embrace the procrastination as an unexpected break from what may otherwise be an impossibly heavy task. And once you have the opportunity to take care of yourself first through whatever that procrastinatory activity is, you'll then have the energy to take yourself seriously because you already put yourself first. And now yourself has the opportunity and the energy to take care of this thing that you need to do. I procrastinated a lot during my life. And what I've observed is that procrastination never prevents me from actually doing the thing. It just reduces the amount of time I have to do the thing. But the thing still gets done. It's never, oh, well, I procrastinated so much, I'm just going to not do this thing. It's like, no, I will put in the amount of time that my body allows me to put in the time behind it. And to be honest, a lot of times, if I had put more time into it, it wouldn't have been any better. It just would have been minced on longer. Like at some point, you're just like artwork is a really great example of this. Because at some point, the illustration is done, and you're just kind of fucking around because you're just lost in a little eddy. You know, you just got to get off the pot and keep moving forward. As he paints over this clump of indistinguishable filigree that's sitting in this pauldron pocket that's been there for the past 5 minutes, not doing me a goddamn bit of good because I just kept pushing the pixels around hoping that something would happen. And then in the middle of me ranting about that, my brain said, yeah, you're actually doing that right now. Why don't you just paint over that thing and just move on? I'm like, okay, paint over it, move on. But I have the original preserved here as a separate file, which is why I build these preservation files like this. So that if I eat over filigree or stuff like this, it's like, man, I really wish I still had all of that texture there. I can just go back to the trash file and fetch it and then drop it in as an overlay and then just work it into the piece. So let's do this like that. So, but that is also why I'm listening to music and watching the stream distract. Yeah. It's the procrastination is the act of providing a distraction. Because it gives you enough. What does it do? It's like when you're buffering a movie, like when you have to, buffer a stream. There's that hang time. Procrastination is that buffering, please wait time, that you get frustrated with because your movie isn't playing and you really want your movie to be playing, but the line has to have enough data backed up to be able to run smoothly. So I believe procrastination is the exact same thing. Let's do that. Like these little dings and textures that are going on inside here. Painting over this was a great idea. Well done, Muse. You yet again guided me to freedom. Thank you, baby. I'm gonna put that on a separate layer. So keep that edge sharp. There we go. Chip chop chiri chiru chirum. Let's take this. Build some piping here. Okay, what I need to ask myself is, do I intend to have this hard ridge here? I actually think the answer is no. Let's reapproach this. I think I realized what my problem was. I want to test it first to make sure I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. All right, give me a second here. I'll explain what happened. Okay. So here's what happened. When I initially built this, here. No, wait. Here. See how that's curving around? This was intended to be a sculpted pauldron that wrapped around the shoulder. But during the course of the rendering process, it became a flat plate that was facing the screen straight on. So you can see the back edge. You can see the back... So you can see the back edge of it here as opposed to having it like curl around out of view. So that's why my original intention was to have the curve around out of view, but during my ranching and rendering process, I lost perspective that was the, like, I lost the lead, as it were. So now I can go back in and I can build this up, and knowingly curving it around the shape, I can hopefully reapproach this with better inspiration. So let's just merge these down here like that. Then come back at this here. Yeah, this dude apparently had like a little iguana or something airbrushed into his pauldron as, like, I guess a spirit animal or something. Who knows? But this is the thing that just said, "Hey, I exist." And I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and illustrate you. That's fun. I have no idea what's going on there. It's just a thing. Who knows? I might end up rushing over it. But it exists for now, so there it is. We'll just go ahead and merge it down. There we go. That feels pretty good. Where am I at? Oh, there I am. Hi. I'll push this down here like that. So we can grab more of this here like this. I was trying to convert all the smudge line art into solid forms. The sketching sketches rely on your eye basically filling in a lot of the logic details, like, oh, this is what it's trying to, like, you're forgiving with a sketch. But once you start, like, it's almost like the viewer picks up on the intention of the artist. Like, this is just like a quick idea just to give you an idea of, you know, like a quick thing to give you an idea of what it looks like. But once you start getting serious, you can tell that they're trying to get serious. The effort is there. And if it's not built right, that's when you start going, oh, that looks wrong. Like, the difference between a sketch looking cool and you're being content with it and being cool versus it feels sloppy or incomplete is like, it's just that there's that sense of they tried too hard, you know? Like at some point it's like, it looks like they put in a lot of detail or a lot of work and to make this thing work, to make this thing happen, and it's not. So what is going on here? What is actually, hold on. That's what happened. I had the background active when it shouldn't have been, so it's causing a false signal for me. Thank you. And that rendering, that quality level, that's a threat. That's where I am threatened to be dropped out of the inspiration space into actively thinking about what I'm doing. So my effort, ironically, is to offload as much of the attention to detail into my intuitive activity as possible, so I don't actually have to think about what's happening, so that it can flow more naturally and just become what it's supposed to become, as opposed to me attempting to make a decision about what is this filigree supposed to be, what's the angle of this hat or shoulder plate supposed to be, like allowing my body to follow the training it has to move a certain way to create a certain look, and just let it cook. Because I'm never going to be able to outguess my intuition. It's just, am I hearing it clearly? Do I understand what it's trying to tell me? Because it knows what it's capable of doing with the tools and skills that it has. It's just, am I going to let it accomplish? Am I going to let it accomplish it or not? If I doubt that it can be done, then I'm going to micromanage the task to try to force it to become. But if I believe that I've developed my skill set to the point where it can achieve those things on its own. Why am I getting dark here? There we go. See how far I'm leaning into my picture? That's like, my face is like this far away from the screen, and it's a 32-inch monitor. So as I'm hyper focusing. When I hyper focus, I lean in. If I want to stay relaxed and allow intuition to work, I have to lean back, get some distance from it. But that also means I have to then zoom in so that I can still see what I'm doing, because I'm fucking blind. Most of my skills as a child was built around hyper-focusing and taking the time to discern what it is that's happening, because the decisions I had to make could get me hit by a truck if I guessed wrong. So hypervigilance was the core flaw I picked up as a personality trait, I guess, for lack of a better word, and I've been untraining myself since childhood to not have that hyper-focused, over-managed style of living, and becoming more relaxed and more zen and more trusting that I've been around long enough and survived enough that my body knows how to do it. I just got to stay out of the way. And that is a very, very difficult lesson to learn from someone that doesn't know if they're about to get hurt or not. To just trust that they're not going to get hurt and then live with the consequences if they're wrong. That's a hard sell. It's a hard sell, but that's what intuition demands of me, for me to be able to move further along in my path, to learn to trust with faith that I'm going to be taken care of. Everyone has a reservation or a flaw, quote unquote, that they have to reckon with at some point for them to be able to continue to appreciate or attain the quote unquote next level of who they're going to become, despite themselves. Like, we're always evolving, and we either evolve quickly and enjoy the process by getting on board with whatever program it is that we find is laid out for us, or we fight it, and either because we're afraid of taking that next step, so we attempt to stall it out, and in which case that starts to create emotional drag on our body, which feels like guilt and depression, which is, I guess, folding back into the procrastination conversation, which is why procrastination so often feels bad, because we know we're not dealing with the things that we think we're supposed to be dealing with, but we don't know how to do it, so we need that extra space, but that lack of movement causes emotional damage in the process. Anyway, whatever that's worth. Yada, yada, yada. Bob's your uncle. So what's going to happen is I'll finish. What time is it? It's 10:41. So I still have, about 40 minutes left? Yeah. So what'll happen for me is I'll kick through for another 40 minutes, futzing around on this guy. I'll go catch some brunch with my gal. I'll come back and I'm going to record a video that I'll then launch on. I'll have set to launch on Sunday during my day off. I think what I need. I don't think I've done a video on gravity. On planetary versus spherical gravity. I don't think I've done a separate video about that. That's fairly low-hanging fruit for me, and we finished the illustration that we had been working on that page that talks about it. So if I were to make a separate little tear-out video about it and then flip through the pages involving gravity while I was talking about it, I'd also have the opportunity to show off the painting that I finished last week. So there's a twofer there for me. So the DMsGuild has a rule about publishing like previews and content. You can't put more than just like if you're gonna make a preview that you're gonna share online away, like not on the DMsGuild site as part of their preview, as an independent document. It basically, like, for every 100 pages, you can have like 2 or 3 worth of pages in a separate PDF that you put out there somewhere. Hey, here's a quick preview and a look-see at some of the pages that are inside this book that I'm building. Like, you can post that to Reddit or like Instagram or whatever. But as soon as you start publishing any bulk of that work, that PDF, as something that people can download off-site of DMsGuild, they have the right to pull your document and to claim that it's on competing platforms and deny you the ability to sell it on their platform. If you're using Wizards of the Coast IP to create this thing, that's dangerous because you can't sell it anywhere other than the DMsGuild. You can publish it someplace for free, and at that point, that's the only option you would have. If you get bit by their compliance team, like, you shouldn't be posting this much content on another site. But the fun thing about videos is that I can show you pages of the document that's on the DMsGuild, or that will be on the DMsGuild. And since it's a video, you don't actually have a PDF that you can walk away with. Same thing with read-only read-only documents, like the Martial Powers thing that I've been developing. That's still in its rough alpha playtest format without finalized language, and it's in a read-only Google Doc that no one can actually download. They can only just look at the document. They can't own it. So that is also compliant with DMsGuild, that they are the only way to actually get the document is through that. It's not even published yet. Like Martial Powers isn't even published yet. This isn't even published yet. So like I can have temporary read-only documents up that people can check out to see what it is. But once the document goes live, you you disable the playtest content, and you don't publish pages as samples. You create videos that flip through and look at the pages. You can zoom in on the pages to show them what it looks like, and then you can talk about it like I do. And that doesn't clash with the spirit of not posting your documents elsewhere, because you're not posting a document. You're showing them what's in the document so that they can go get it off of the DMsGuild. It's a technicality, but it's accurate, because like once the thing publishes and I start doing like a director's cut walkthrough of this, going through all the pages here online, each of them are going to link back to the document. If you want this, you can go find it on DMsGuild. Go look at the preview of this document and read along with me. So you're siphoning traffic into the DMsGuild, which is the only place I can publish this work. I could put it on my Patreon, but I couldn't charge any money for it because it would fall under fan content policy there. So I couldn't have a paywall. So I've put in 16 months in this so far, and no one gives a crap other than me that it's taken this long. The people just want to see the end result and that it's good. So no one cares how hard or long it took you to build something. That's pointless. They just wanted to know, was the time invested worth the end result? And I think consistently in the products I've been creating here for the past couple years, the answer is hell yes. So I am happy to play by the rules that the DMsGuild provides, but so these little video shorts that look at a couple pages a piece and it's like, hey, go check this stuff out. It's going to be on the DMsGuild. That's good promo content, while still offering teasers and advanced look-sees as part of like, I'm still building this thing. Here's what we're doing. And like, here's the new ideas that we're playing with right now, and here's the things that are going on. You know, in the words of MCDM, no one's ever done that before. Totally not true. I've been doing this stuff for years, as many other content creators have as well. I just think that's a funny phrase. So it behooves me to find a really small subject, like a little finite topic of conversation for me to be able to say, hey, here's one of the ideas that's in this book, and here's like 2 pages of an idea, and there's 106 pages in this book. Check it out when it publishes. And I can do 4, 5, 7 of those things, and the hope is to do one each week as I finish this book out. And if I do publish it in January as intended, then there'll be a little, like maybe 8 or 9 episode preview lead up to some of the different mechanical ideas that exist inside of the book, as to what to expect and why you would want to check this thing out in the first place. Here's some ideas. First try. Okay, so do I actually want to just do like a thing like this? I don't know, do I like those little peaks? Kind of. Yeah, let's keep them. Let's scratch this stuff in. Build that out like that. Rough that texture in a bit here. I like that. See how far I'm leaning in again? Whew. Just keep falling into the piece. I need to stop doing that. That's looking good. Yeah, so we'll finish stream here. I'll go do some brunch. I'll come back. I think it's, planetary versus planar gravity. And then I will probably work on some diagrams on off pages. Normally when I'm not on stream but still in production, like at during off stream times, I'm usually working on page layouts and diagrams and stuff for this book to hopefully get all the support content finished by the time the artwork is finished, so that I can finish the book, finish the art on the book, and then drop all the illustrations that we've been creating, drop them actually into the Word document, hyperlink everything that has to be hyperlinked, and then publish the thing. And then wait to see what it is that I fucked up, because I'll miss something. I'm gonna miss something. Something will require attention, and then I'll have the opportunity to come back and fix it. And I'll probably end up updating it 4 or 5 times and re-releasing it a couple times. And once it finally gets to a place where I've fixed everything that I didn't realize was broken. Because it's a 108-page document. It doesn't matter how meticulous I am with it. I'm going to fuck something up. So all I can really do is just try to do the best I can. And when the thing says you're done, go ahead and publish it. Just trust that that's true, because otherwise I'm going to be hunting forever for little nitpicks and little fidgety shit that's just going to slow my roll, that could get fixed if it's, if I ever find it, or if somebody else finds it. It's like, hey, I'm seeing a weirdness happening here on page bloody blah about blank. How does that? I was like, oh, you know what? That's a really good point. Let me see if I can express that differently. And then I'll tear that page apart, and I'll rebuild it, and then I'll republish the document. It's like, hey, for anyone that was noticing a problem there, we fixed it, we patched it. Go download the new version, because once you buy the book off the DMsGuild, you can download all of the previous editions. And all of my books have multiple republishings, because I do really large mechanical concepts that have a lot of moving pieces and ramifications that sometimes I miss something. And so once somebody starts pointing something out to me, I'll have an opportunity to fix it. I'm getting better and better at it, though. Go. Well, hey, Timely Timer, thanks a lot, Bududdy. Bududdy. Let's create a new layer so I can mess around with angles over here without consequence. Kind of like that. Yeah, I'm down with that. Let's do it more like no. Texture here. There. And then we'll do we'll do the gravity video, and I'll schedule that for release tomorrow morning. And then I'll probably come back and honestly I'll probably finish this picture. I want to get this off my plate. I want to keep moving forward. I got a lot of different pieces I need to do. And if I'm going to have this thing published in January, I'm going to need to punch it up a bit, you know? As much fun as it is to complete a piece and have a victory lap with everybody on screen when it gets done, it's more important to finish, to get the thing finished. So I'll take victories with you guys when I can. There we go. So far, so good. I get to play D&D tonight too, and that I play once every other week for about 3.5-4 hours. It's a Curse of Strahd campaign. I think we're level 2 right now. It's gonna be a long haul, but one of the great benefits is when I'm not actively working the map or rolling dice or something, I get to draw, and rendering details like this is one of the things I can easily do while having conversations and bullshitting with people during game. Because again, the more I turn off my brain and preoccupy it with a conversation or other goings-ons, the more reflexive my intuition will build out the piece here that we're working on, and it'll end up better than what I could have attempted to produce for myself using my own ego as the fuel. there. Big picture. That's probably as close as anyone's going to get on the text. I mean, reasonably, most people will probably be looking at it like at a resolution like this. Like, we're full screen here. Like, you could probably safely read this at this size, which means that I don't need to have nearly as much detail as it is I'm putting in here, but I can, so I am. Cheers. And then there's places elsewhere where there's a lot less detail per inch. It'll all be okay. There we go. That feels really good. Bring that around like this to flesh out that kind of fabric flowing through here. Bring it in like that. Let's grab this color here and block that in here. Come around on this buckle, big ass buckle. If you go back and look at a lot of different videos that I've done of character art, you'll see me building buckles the same way over and over again. Basically a rectangle with curved edges and a notch that overlays. Like that. that. How are we doing on time? It's 11:07, so I got about 20 minutes left. There we go. My last 20 minutes for the day. And then if everything goes well, I'll have this finished and we'll be starting on the next piece on Monday, which I am excited to get to work on. The next one we're going to build is going to be pretty intense. So I'm looking forward to showing that one to you. Curve that in, make it straight. There we go. Pretty good. Let's clean up the ear in here. Ooh, that feels pretty good. Around there like that. Just curve that in. Just like that. Now we're hammering through some stuff. Yeah, there's a decent chance this is going to get done today. I'll post this one on Twitter and across Discords when it's finished, so you guys can see how it turned out. But there is a decent chance this will be done, and we'll start on something completely different on Monday. Which is the clip that I need to maintain to get done with the pictures that I need to do to have this thing actually be released before February. So, in January. I should say in January instead of before February. The less I say February, the more I'm thinking about January. The more I'm thinking about January, the more done I'm going to be in December. Yada, 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 yada. As though what I do is going to have any bit of a difference on what's going to actually happen. It's the illusion that we maintain for ourselves, though. Keep working our way across the character. When it gets done, it gets done. Yeah, we just keep pushing around the piece until anywhere that we look at, we're like, yeah, it looks pretty good. And when you rest your eye on a place, it's like, I could do better with that. Then you get pulled into it and you start rendering. And at some point you're like, yeah, you know, I think that's good. And then you move on. The entire piece works that way. All the text, all the images, everything is just zooming in on smaller and smaller little pieces of detail that are part of the whole to make the thing a complete piece. And once everything is like, yeah, that's really good, then all you can really do is publish it and put it out there and then see how it adapts and changes and what we need to revise in the future. Speaking of which, for those that don't know, the Color Mana Spell Point variant rules that I've been publishing for the past few years on DMsGuild, we're going to go through a major overhaul process when 2024 D&D gets updated. It's a great opportunity for me to rebrand, to take away from the tap, untap, burn, and just make it Color Mana Spell Point variant rules. Just to simplify the branding, to update the page layouts. My layout skills have improved considerably after the past 4 years. So most of those books I want to have a chance to reapproach. My art style is improved, so all the artwork that's in those books, we have an opportunity to go back in and pick at them and potentially improve or replace artwork that's in there as part of the updating process. I might have to get new page art anyway, depending on how the new layouts fall. We may have gaps that need filling. Plus, there's Strixhaven, Ravnica, and Theros as part of the official D&D content that we can publish now. That wasn't the case when I first made the book. There was only Ravnica. So we can actually integrate all the Strixhaven and Theros stuff into the book as much as we want, which opens up more design space for different type of artwork, as well as additional subject matter of like different gods and stuff, that how you can express gods with color mana. That's a nice piece for the cleric. So that will pretty much eat up. If that stuff gets released in November 2024, then basically I'm going to be locked down through probably July 2025 doing that specifically. I know that there was that leaked coming soon image from WotC saying May 2024, but I'm pretty sure everyone has concluded that this was the original timeline publish date before the OGL threw Wizards off mark a couple months. So it could be like we might see it in August. They normally have a pretty big release in August or November. So I suspect that we'll probably see it in August, but it could be November. So who knows? Who knows when it's just let them cook. I just hope they have as much time needed to cook because I like where it's going now. I was pretty dubious about all the initial ideas that we're putting out there, but I'm getting on board with the changes that are coming to 2024 are going to be really good changes. And everything that I've been seeing produced in the past couple UAs are things that are going to make it easier for me to build with. So it's ironically so many of the designers are leaving the 5e space when 5e is, or whatever D&D next or whatever it is now, is becoming, I think, more friendly to designers to actually build with it. Period. So it's ironic how they've self-induced their own exodus. But you know me, I'm a diehard 5e or D&D enthusiast. I'm pretty much ride or die with D&D. I love the IPs. I love, honestly, for how thin the mechanics are in 5e. I love it because as a designer, that's a huge space where no one can really say you can't. Like everything in the Spelljammer book is using 5e rules, either from the Player's Handbook or the DMG variant rules. And the way that I'm building them is to complement the narrative of ship combat and ship adventuring. And since there are no actual rules that lean into ship adventuring at all, it's really difficult for someone to say I'm doing it wrong. All they can really do is say whether I like these mechanics or not. They're, hopefully they'll say these are good mechanics. I mean, this is well written, even though I don't necessarily like what you're doing with it. I like page blah 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 blah. Like I'll use those pieces of it, but I don't think I'm going to use the whole thing. And you know what? Honestly, that's fucking awesome, because I tried to build a wide set of tools that can be used independently or all together. And the more you curve things together, the more you're running games the way that I do. But if you don't want to deep dive into the Philverse like that, then you can just extract the tear out pieces and just use them separately. And then a lot of the stuff that are in this book are things that you can extract out to non-Spelljammer campaigns, like the way that we do like detecting and tracking and investigating things, and like becoming familiar with objects through research. These are all useful mechanical ideas that aren't really like, even just like starting fires and how quickly does a fire spread across a structure or an item. Like there's literally no rules about. There's rules about things being on fire. There's rules about things dealing fire damage, but there's no real rules about catching things on fire and how long does it take for them to be destroyed by that fire. It's kind of loosey-goosey. It's tuned in enough for combat, but like if I hit you, like if I throw a barrel of oil on the floor and then light it on fire, how long is it going to take for that building to burn down? I have answers for you in this book. I can tell you precisely how long it's going to take, well, within this variable set, but it depends on how big the building is, how much damage you dealt with the fire, and how much area is covered in oil that's burning, and how resistant is the material that's on fire, how resistant to it is it, how resistant to being on fire is the material. So those four factors combine into how long it's going to take for a structure, a building, a castle, a ship, or whatever to burn, a forest to burn down. But that's useful. It's not always useful, but if you were curious, hey, how long is it going to take for us to burn this building down? The DM now has to come up with an answer on the fly. He is now making a ruling about how long something takes to burn down. We are providing simple, duplicatable mechanics on how long things take to burn down that you can choose to use or not, or riff off of, but it's a starting point. It's a rule that doesn't exist that we're putting in place so that DMs can create their own rulings, whether they agree 100% with what we present or they use that as a template to build something that they think is more appropriate for their campaign, we're providing a resource that they can then use to manipulate or just plug and play. You can do, I mean, preferably everything in the book you just plug and play. That would be optimal for the intent of the book. But again, it's if you don't want to plug and play the whole thing, but you find pieces of it useful, then please make use of them. If there's enough ideas in here that you think are cool in the preview, maybe you'll even buy the book. And if you want to use my ship combat mechanics, if you're like, yeah, these are fucking cool, then you'll have, if you buy it, you'll have all the tokens for all the ships, plus all the extra ships that we created to use the mechanics that we built for fighter ships and stuff. And for those that are really curious, once this Spelljammer book publishes and I start doing, like, what am I going to do on Saturday morning as my standalone project, the next standalone project that I'm going to do is Mecha. Escaflowne, mobile suits, Evangelions, Valkyries, Zords, Lions, whatever your brand of large-scale robot combat versus, you know, Pacific Rim style is, whatever your particular flavor is, that already exists inside of this book, but you have to make rulings and you have to manipulate the information here. Like, instead of having fighter ships look like creatures, you would just make them look like humanoids, and then that's all you need to do to be able to create a mecha in this game. But I don't specifically spell it out. You have to extrapolate that information because that's not the goal of this particular book. This particular book isn't, hey, if you want to play Mobile Suit, here's how, using 5e mechanics as intended. Sally forth and have fun. No, that is such a large amount of scope sprawl for Spelljammer that needs to be its own document. But that'll be the first, like, funsies tear out. Like when I build big books, I create smaller books as a pay what you want for like $3 or $4, maybe $5 depending on how big they are. But like support products that anchor the flagship. So the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration is the flagship for all my massive scale or ship, Spelljammer, Wild Space, Astral concepts and adventures that I'll be creating over the next X years. And so every time I create a new piece, it curves into check out the core mechanics in Spelljammer Combat and Exploration. And if you like that stuff, here's how you can add mecha to your Spelljammer campaign. And now you've got different factions running around in different mobile suits, you know, tearing each other up. And then you can introduce kaiju, like that 500-foot dragon. That's a significant threat. We better throw some Gundams at it. You can just upscale your campaign using the same mechanics that we already used to upscale with ships. It's just you're going to have more narrative beats and ways of playing with different fantasy tropes using the mechanics that we build. And eventually, if I get into doing Kickstarters and I want to make my own game, and I'll obviously go with the Dominion system because I love Dominions. And so we'll be able to extrapolate or extract all these rules and build them into our own game system. That would then be intended to use these mechanics, like build top down, like these like Phil's Lancer 5.0 or whatever. I don't even know what that setting is going to be yet, so that's not. I'm not there yet. You know, when the Muse wants me to start building my own setting and kickstart it, she'll tell me what to build, and she'll help me. She'll show me how to set it up, and she'll connect with everyone else on the planet that's going to be interested in it, and she'll send them my way, and it'll be awesome. But first things first, we got to finish this book. How are we doing on time? We almost done? Yeah, we got 15 seconds left. Well, okay, so you guys know the plan. I'm going to be back on Monday. We're going to, we should have this piece done. We're going to start on the next piece, and I think you're going to love it when you see it. I'll publish this when it's finished. I'm hoping it'll be done today. I'm going to make a recording I think we're gonna be talking about planetary gravity as like a little 5-minute thing today, and then I'll publish that. You'll see that on if you like and subscribe, you can check back and see, or you can just follow me on Twitter. I'll publish that. It's live there as well. Yeah. Oh, and Monday. So Monday when we're back, we'll be building new Spelljammer art, and Monday lunch, we're going to spend a few minutes. We're going to spend so all the martial power classes are done, and so now I've already looked at the Warlock and the Artificer, and I'm still happy with how those sit. So we're going to spend just a few minutes on Monday looking at the Artificer and the Warlock, and then we're going to dive back into power gear and flesh out how to randomly generate and build power armor, or like power gear, like magic items using the power system instead of magic. So instead of magic items, they're power gear, and so we'll build power gear and monster templates. And once we've done a little bit of that content, then we'll officially start the building the playtest environment for us to run martial powers at 3rd level. We'll run from 3rd to 5th. We'll run from 3rd to 7th level, maybe 9th level, but probably till 7th level. I'll plan on spending 4 weeks, 4 sessions at each level, and then just artificially advance the characters that are in the game to 4th level. And then, because it already works at 12th to 20th level for my own playtesting, but I want to make sure that it feels good at the low end, and just building a playtest is the best way to do that. So this guy's looking really great. We're gonna finish this up. So thanks a lot, everybody, for hanging out with me. That's it for today. If you think this shit's cool, I'm here 7 days a week now. Building out stuff, and so like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, check out some of the books I have down in the description down below. If you think they're cool, consider buying them to consider more shenanigans like this. And I will see everybody live back on Monday. So thanks a lot, guys. See you later.